Hey guys, what's going on? Got a battle here for you between the Lizardmen and the High Elves, and I think I'm gonna take a little longer look at this battle than I usually do. There's a couple things that I'm curious about in Total War in terms of matchups. Um, the last night I played a battle against the Lizardmen where they spammed a lot of dinos, and I really didn't have a way to deal with it. I was playing Chaos. I didn't build an anti-large, and as a result, I lost pretty handily. But I was just wondering, are there certain matchups that tend to just really favor one side over the other? And I queued up for Lizardmen, and my opponent, I guess I never switched off High Elves, but they went with High Elves. And when I was sitting and building my army, I was thinking, what do the High Elves have that really beat Saurus warriors at a cost-effective breakpoint, especially the shielded ones? And I was thinking, okay, they have Sword Masters of Hoeth and White Lions might do pretty well here, but both of those are very expensive units. And I don't expect them to bring a ton of them because if they're to bring a bunch of armor-piercing anti-infantry options, the dinosaurs for the Lizardmen can lay down a lot of work. So what do you do as the High Elves to beat 5 units of Saurus and 3 Bastillodons, as the main line? I got two Red Crescent Strings in here as well, but what do you do against that? And I don't really have an answer, so I'm throughout this battle trying to look at how things go, and maybe think about how a faction how do you beat the Lizardmen when they build an army like this, basically. Um, Now, what is this army? I kind of went over it a little bit earlier, but I got 5 units of Saurus, I believe, just regular Saurus warriors with shields, 2 red crested skinks, 3 feral Bastillodons, just absolute champs for 650 upkeep. They have incredible stats, very tanky, 140 armor. I guess their stats are actually pretty bad, 22, 28 melee attack, melee defense. But they do draw a lot of attention from your opponent, and they give you some mass in your lines. And that's for my main line. On each side, I have a unit of Cold Run Spear Riders, accompanied by Feral Cold Ones, and on one side, Krokgar sits with them, and on one side, they are unsupported. I find Feral Cold Ones to be very efficient for their cost. They cost like 450, and they're very quick. They're armor piercing. They also have 90 armor, and they're very good at taking out archers, I find. Unfortunately, they do rampage, so if you can have a lord with them to use their cold-blooded effect to remove that rampage, it can be very good. You can also spam like 5 or 6 of them, and really just be an annoyance in your opponent's backline. But I like to ride them with Cold One Spear Riders, because these guys have anti-large and armor piercing, and they duel enemy cavalry fairly well. So if my opponent brings Silver Helms or Dragon Princes, I imagine these guys lose to Dragon Princes, and honestly maybe even to Silver Helms. They're not really that good, and they are pretty expensive. But they do give you more of the mobility that I think you need in a matchup like this. If you go too heavy into dinos, I feel like you put too much cost that can be easily taken out by high elf archers and Sisters of Avalorn especially. I got Krokgar here on a horned one. Wow, that horned one has a great little mask on. I did not take the whatever his Hand of the Gods. I did not take the Hand of the Gods. He has his normal abilities on him right now. I probably, if I was to do this again, I probably would drop Deadly Onslaught, make him a little bit cheaper, maybe even the Explosion, but I did not do it that time. Could have had a little extra gold to spend on my line. I also have a unit of Skink Skirmishers. Anytime I don't bring Missile Infantry, I get punished for it, so I always bring one just to prevent my opponent from doing things that I don't like. My opponent here has 4 units of Spearmen, none of the Scions of Mathlon. That's one of those things that I think is really... the Regiment of Renowns are just so powerful. The Scions of Mathlon with their 12% ward save I think are a really important pick in a high elf matchup. I think I would just bring them almost every time. The White Lions of Trace, going to trade pretty well with Saurus, I think. The Sisters of Avalorn are an amazing bow unit, and they'll be able to do a lot of damage to my dinos and my cavalry if they're able to get shots. They have 2 Lothran Seaguard without shields, an excellent pick against the dinos, I feel like. As I'm thinking about this, maybe the key is to bring a lot of archers, Lothran Seaguard. units that can survive the dinos with the anti-large and get down missile pressure, which can kill skinks and eventually wear down Saurus and Temple Guards. They have 2 Silver Helms with shields. I'm not sure if the shields are actually necessary on the Silver Helms this instance, but they couldn't have known that. I mean, maybe they expected to chase down skink skirmishers, but really your cav should not be chasing down skinks. You should be letting your archers deal with them. They poison and slow you and can just really wear down your cav over an extended duration. They also have a noble here. Let's see if they took any abilities. Nope, their noble removed all the abilities. No deadly onslaught, no vigor ability, whatever that's called. They got Teclis here as well with the net, enfeebling foe, regrowth, and his potion, it looks like, as well as arcane conduit. It doesn't look like he took the fiery convocation, which I feel like would actually be pretty good against a line of Saurus, but I guess Saurus are pretty spread out. I don't know. That's an interesting question. And we got the Fireborn Dragon Princes. Absolutely one of my favorite high elf units. These guys are great in so many matchups. I don't think this is one of them. They don't have armor piercing, or at least significant armor piercing values. Let's see what the armor piercing value actually is. 12. So yeah, they do not do great on that instance. They do have bonus versus large, but for 1,800 gold, I feel like there's probably a lot better things you could do. These guys destroy in the Tomb Kings matchup, though. I think these are an excellent in the Tomb Kings matchup, and if you ever play High Elves versus Tomb Kings, bring the Fireborn and bring someone to heal them. Such a good combo. So, anyways, our two armies are going to be moving into each other. I'm noticing my line's kind of getting a little bit split up as I approach, so I walk my red crested skinks and then run my Saurus to catch them up, so that my line will kind of all engage at the same time. And then I'm going to start assigning tack orders as I go down the line. He's pulling his Silver Helms over here because he sees my little strike force. This group is still hidden, I guess, so he can't see it. Well, at least one unit's hidden. One unit is visible. And I'm going to be using these guys to try and pressure his Silver Helms. This is a fight I think I can win, especially because I don't see the Fireborn, right? And as soon as I see the Fireborn, you can see I start to pull away. I'm not interested in that anymore. The Sisters of Avalorn are also coming over here to try and shoot. Probably a good choice on their part. There's not a ton of value over here to hit. But there's a lot of value in Kroq-Gar, and these Cold One Spear Riders will be easy for them to kill. The main line engagement is getting underway. I use the Red Crested Skinks against the White Lions of Trace because they have low armor, so the White Lions won't get their armor piercing values as much, and the armor piercing on the Red Crested Skinks is going to be pretty impactful. Saurus into Spearman is excellent. I mean, that's such a great trade for me. So anywhere I can, I'm getting the Saurus in there. The Red Crested Skinks, unfortunately, do get routed off pretty quickly against the White Lions. But I suppose that's to be expected, considering they cost a little over half as much as the White Lions. And they probably will come back, though. Now we got Saurus engaged on a very wounded White Lions, which is great. And the Sisters of Avalorn are starting to fire in on this Feral Bastiladon, as well as these archers. And they're going to take it out, pretty quickly if they're able to focus fire. This guy's only 650 gold, less than a unit of Saurus Warriors, though, so I don't mind that much if that happens. The Fireborn making themselves known in this engagement, and I do come in with the Cold One Riders and the Feral Cold Ones to try and pin them in, but they actually just straight up pull through my Saurus Warriors, and are trying to come out this backside to try and cycle charge. These Fireborn are going to be pretty tough for me to take down. However, the Sisters of Avalorn are kind of unsupported. I'm able to get the Feral Cold Ones and the Cold One Spear Riders onto them. They do net Kroq-Gar, but you probably wanted to net one of the Cav units instead of Kroq-Gar, considering that Kroq-Gar won't be able to do as much DPS to the Sisters of Avalorn as quickly as the Feral Cold Ones or the Cold One Spear Riders would be able to. So once that net wears off, Kroq-Gar is going to get onto that Noble. I probably should have tried to pull him onto Teclis, because Teclis is all alone and a little bit unsupported here. But I suppose the Noble is a fine target to go for as well. Teclis is definitely the superior target to go for. Looks like the casting Enfeebling Foe and these Cold One Spear Riders. Negative melee attack and melee defense is not going to matter too much here. The Fireborn are trying to go for these Skink Skirmishers, but like I was saying before, it's just so hard to kill Skink Skirmishers and Chameleon Skinks with Cav. They're spread out enough that they don't take a ton of damage from Cav charges. They'll slow you on the approach, and then when you run away from them like this, you're going to be taking shots at the back, and your shield values aren't going to help. So you're gonna just add up that damage over time. You're much better off using your Lothran Sea Guard to fire into skink skirmishers, or just regular archer fire into skink skirmishers, because that is not something you want to trade. So overall, the fight's going pretty well. I've kind of collapsed this left flank. There's a couple pockets where my you can see exactly actually where my red crested skinks tried to make their way through, because those are pockets in the line. They got routed off pretty quickly. The Fireborn going to make themselves very useful rear charging into the back of my saurus warriors here. Well, I did that a little bit earlier. A little early, but they're going to come in here. I'm going to try and use the Feral Bastillodon to break their charge, but a little bit too late. Does get in there and stop a couple models, but they're going to lay down a pretty fat charge onto my saurus here. That is just too bad. They were whooping these spearmen with the support of the Fireborn. They might be able to turn it around. And it looks like they've got a healing spell coming down on them too. So that will definitely help to keep them alive a little bit longer. Yeah, regrowth, giving them that bonus figure as well. We pull into the Lothran Sea Guard, but that's a mistake, and I realize it pretty much immediately, and redirect the Cold One Spear Riders onto Teclis, while letting the Feral Cold Ones rampage onto the Lothran Sea Guard to stop them from shooting. Teclis pulls into the Fireborn as they come and support him. The Fireborn just MVPs this game for the High Elves, despite my criticism of them as a pick in this matchup. They are extremely powerful. They just don't really have, I think, all the stats you need. But anyways, they're able to come protect Teclis, and he's able to drop an Overcast Net, leaving the Fireborn in here to duel my Cold One Spear Riders, and they are going to beat these guys down. Like I said before, Cold One Spear Riders are probably going to lose to Dragon Princes. Fireborn being the better Dragon Princes, they are certainly going to lose to, especially when they get charged like that. Krokar is now kind of stuck in among the Fireborn here, but he's got some saurus coming in to help him, and he's also got some cav support from the other flank. Now that his cav contingent's pretty much dead. I shouldn't call it cav, it's Velociraptor cav. Velociraptors. Anyways, instead of pulling them onto the Fireborn, I decided to pull them onto the Sisters of Avalorn. There are 14 models left with obviously all of their ammo. I'll be able to take these guys out permanently. That'll be great. Really just the Feral Cold Ones are all that's needed here. But I'll get a charge with both guys, and I'll probably pull the Spear Riders off. Let the Feral Cold Ones feast. Yeah, I'm going to split them up. Feral Cold Ones staying on the Sisters of Avalorn, and the Spear Riders going to help Krokar. Now, oh, never mind, I do countercharge this. I was going to say, it looks like I missed that, but it looks like the Silver Helms, they still have a pretty healthy contingent over here with Teclis. You know, props to my opponent here. He's doing a really good job of keeping Teclis alive. I've tried to get him a couple times here, and he keeps having Cav that's able to kind of cover his escape. But this time, with the combination of Gary, the Feral Bastillodon, and the Cold One Spear Riders, they're able to push off these Silver Helms. With Fireborn, down to 16 models, coming in to try and support the Silver Helms, but the Silver Helms are lost. Another unit of Silver Helms, though, that's the one we just routed off. This is the new one. These guys are all coming onto Krokar. I send Krokar in to try and take out Teclis, popping his little speed buff there so we can hopefully stick on him a little bit better. Looks like they do pop the Enfeebling Foe on Krokar, and he's very low. At this point, I feel confident enough to throw him into a situation like this on low health with no healing, just because my army is so healthy and the balance of power is in my favor. Even if he dies, I figure I can still win this. And in fact, that is the game right there. So, as this goes here, we'll take a look at the how healthy the Saurus ended up. But as you can see here, the Saurus barely took any damage. These 3 units of Saurus with most of their health remaining. These guys at about half health. The Bastillodon still looking extremely healthy. The Red Crested Skinks and a couple of my Cav units absolutely got destroyed, and Krokar took a lot of damage. But how do you kill the rest of this army is my question. I think that there probably are ways to do it as the High Elves, but I don't know what they are. And tell you what, I'm going to try and play some High Elf games and see what I can do. I'm curious to see how that goes. Hopefully there's a Lizardman opponent for me, and I can test it out that way. But anyways, as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.